ve şiddet tutkunu değiliz.
Biz de zindanla da korkutamazsın.
Your country is in big trouble.
Teslim olmanın sınırı yok.
Israel and Iran continues direct conflict for a fourth consecutive day amid mounting fears of regional escalation. An Iranian Kurdish group urges civil solidarity as emergency response to Israeli airstrikes. In Syria's Homs, thousands protest sectarian violence after two young Murshidi men are shot dead. And in Turkey, the pro-Kurdish Dem Party pushes for formal recognition of the Assyrian genocide. Learn more with Medya News. Israel and Iran have entered a fourth consecutive day of direct military conflict, with over 240 people reported dead, as fears of a wider regional war intensify. The crisis began with Israeli airstrikes targeting Iran's nuclear and military infrastructure on Friday, prompting retaliatory missile barrages from Tehran on major Israeli cities. At least 224 people have been killed in Iran, the vast majority of them civilians, while Israeli authorities have confirmed 19 deaths so far. Air raid sirens have sounded across both Tehran and Tel Aviv as residential areas were struck, causing widespread destruction. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed continued military action, suggesting regime change in Iran could be the result of Israel's campaign. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian condemned the strikes as a declaration of war, calling on regional actors to deny Israel access to airspace. The International Atomic Energy Agency has convened an emergency meeting amid rising concerns over nuclear safety. Meanwhile, Kurdish, Iraqi and Turkish leaders warn of regional spillover as sectarian tensions rise and fears grow of further destabilization across the Middle East. Despite international pressure, including from G7 leaders, both Israel and Iran remain defiant. With diplomacy faltering and civilian casualties mounting, the risk of all-out regional conflict is growing by the hour. In the wake of Israeli airstrikes on Iranian territory, the Kurdistan Free Life Party, known as PJAK, has issued a warning that neither war nor authoritarianism can bring lasting freedom. The armed Kurdish group, which campaigns for democratic autonomy in Iran's Kurdish region known as Rojhilat, released a statement on Saturday calling for grassroots organization, community defense, and social solidarity. The PJAK said its responsibility is to protect the people of Iran and Rojhilat from both foreign aggression and internal repression. Quoting the slogan Jin, Jiyan, Azadi, or Woman Life Freedom, the group linked its message to the wider democratic and feminist movement that gained momentum during the protests, which sparked in Iran in 2022. The group urged communities to strengthen civil society by forming local governance structures, emergency response networks, and grassroots organizations. It also advised that groups aligned with the government be kept at arm's length in conflict-affected areas, arguing this would support the building of a truly democratic society. Clarifying its opposition to both conflict and dictatorship, the group's statement concluded with a call for civilian-led resistance grounded in democratic values and support for those affected by violence. Thousands of Syrians took to the streets of Homs on Saturday, demanding justice after two young men from the Murshidi religious minority were brutally killed in what many see as a continuation of rising sectarian violence. Hadi Mohammed Qasim and Mohammed Walid Dervish were shot dead at their workplace, sparking widespread anger and protest. Crowds gathered in Homs's Al-Luz neighborhood and the rural town of Gar Saneye, calling on authorities to bring the perpetrators to justice and protect vulnerable communities. The attack took place in the Adawiya district, where armed assailants stormed the Ambirat electricity office, looted it, and later dumped the victims' bodies behind a nearby medical center. The UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights linked the killings to a broader surge in violence targeting minorities, particularly Murshidis and Alawites, since the fall of the Ba'ath regime in December 2024. At least 60 Murshidis have been killed in Syria in recent months, alongside large-scale massacres of Alawite civilians on the west coast in March and minority-targeted killings elsewhere. Protesters accused local Sunni militias of exploiting the fragile security situation under the transitional government, led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. With sectarian tensions deepening, demonstrators demanded accountability for a stable future for the country. The 110th anniversary of Sayfo, the 1915 mass killing of Assyrians by Ottoman forces, has been marked by renewed calls for justice and formal recognition from Turkey's pro-Kurdish Dem Party. Speaking on Sunday, Yüksel Mutlu, deputy leader of the Dem Party and head of its Peoples and Beliefs Commission, said, "Although 110 years have passed since this tragic history, the Assyrian people still await justice and recognition." Beginning in 1915, hundreds of thousands of Assyrians were killed, displaced, or forcibly assimilated in what many survivors refer to as Sayfo, meaning the sword in Syriac. The campaign targeted Assyrian churches, schools, and cultural life, aiming to erase the community's presence in its historic Mesopotamian homeland. While international attention has largely focused on the Armenian genocide, Assyrians regard Sayfo as a parallel chapter of the same violent era. The Dem Party, which campaigns for Kurdish and minority rights, says that reckoning with these atrocities is essential for peace and justice across all communities in Turkey. Mutlu concluded, "We share the pain of the Assyrian people and respectfully remember those who perished."
Medya News Daily Review.
Biz burada şiddet tutkunu değiliz.
Biz de zindanla da korkutamazsın.
Your country is in big trouble.
Teslim olmanın sınırı yok.